If you're buying vegetables at these 9 grocery chains, you might be putting more than just produce in your cart. Every week, millions of Americans fill their baskets with lettuce, tomatoes, and spinach from stores that health inspectors have cited for serious safety violations. Before you head down another produce aisle, you need to know what former employees, lab tests, and undercover investigations have revealed about how these major chains handle the food that's supposed to keep your family healthy. Let's start with the world's largest retailer, where your vegetables might be weeks old before they even hit the shelves. Walmart's massive scale creates problems that smaller chains simply can't match. When you're sourcing vegetables for over 4,700 stores across the United States, quality control becomes a logistical nightmare. Those crisp-looking peppers and fresh spinach you see under the bright fluorescent lights have often traveled thousands of miles and sat in distribution centers for up to 3 weeks before reaching your local store. Former Walmart produce managers have shared disturbing details about the pressure to keep shelves stocked regardless of quality. One manager from Texas revealed that vegetables arriving with visible mold were often just sorted through, with the good parts repackaged and put back on display. Temperature logs from multiple Walmart locations show produce sections regularly operating above 45 degrees Fahrenheit, well beyond the safe storage range that prevents bacterial growth. The numbers tell an alarming story. In 2023 alone, the FDA cited Walmart locations in 12 different states for improper produce storage conditions. A leaked internal memo from a California distribution center showed that some vegetables were being held for up to 21 days before shipment to stores. That fresh lettuce you picked up yesterday might have been harvested nearly a month ago. The real concern isn't just age, it's contamination risk. When vegetables sit in warm conditions for extended periods, they become breeding grounds for harmful bacteria. A former employee from Florida described finding expired produce mixed with fresh items as standard practice to reduce waste and meet corporate profit margins. Even stores that pride themselves on premium organic offerings aren't immune to these quality control failures. When you pay premium prices at Whole Foods, you expect premium quality. The company built its reputation on organic standards and freshness that justified spending 3 times more for vegetables than you would elsewhere. But that trust may be misplaced when lab tests reveal what's really on those expensive organic shelves. Independent laboratory testing in 2024 found pesticide residues on organic vegetables at 40% of Whole Foods locations tested across major metropolitan areas. These weren't trace amounts from cross-contamination. These were levels consistent with conventional farming methods being passed off as organic. You're paying organic prices for conventional vegetables that failed to meet the standards you thought you were buying. Former employees have broken their silence about practices that would shock customers who trust the Whole Foods brand. Workers admitted to routinely relabeling day-old organic produce as fresh daily to maintain the premium pricing structure. One former produce manager from Colorado described the pressure to move expensive organic inventory, regardless of actual freshness dates. The financial penalties tell the real story. Whole Foods paid a $2 million fine in 2023 for systematically mislabeling conventional produce as organic at stores in multiple states. Pre-washed organic greens, marketed as safe and ready to eat, have been recalled at least 6 times since 2022 for E. coli contamination that sent dozens of customers to emergency rooms. When you're paying premium prices, you expect someone to be watching quality more carefully. But if the organic specialists are cutting corners this dramatically, imagine what's happening at traditional supermarket chains where margins are even tighter. Kroger operates over 2,700 stores under various names, making it America's largest traditional supermarket chain. With that scale comes systematic problems that affect millions of shoppers every week. Health department inspections across Kroger-owned stores have revealed a disturbing pattern of vegetables stored directly on warehouse floors, mixed with cleaning supplies, and rotated through displays well past safe consumption dates. Former produce managers from King Soopers and Ralph's locations have described intense pressure to sell vegetables regardless of quality. One manager from Denver explained how corporate policies require them to remove only the obviously moldy outer leaves from lettuce and cabbage, then repackage the rest as fresh produce. This practice became the subject of a major lawsuit in 2023, when customers in 4 states reported finding extensive mold throughout vegetables that appeared fresh on the surface. The cross-contamination issues run deeper than cosmetic problems. Kroger's salad bars, popular with health-conscious shoppers, have been cited repeatedly for bacterial contamination stemming from improper cleaning protocols. Health inspectors found prep areas where the same cutting boards were used for different vegetables without sanitizing between uses, and utensils were stored in standing water that tested positive for harmful bacteria. A leaked internal memo from 2023 revealed that some Kroger locations were displaying vegetables for up to 14 days past their optimal freshness dates. The memo specifically instructed managers to mist older vegetables more frequently to maintain appearance, regardless of actual quality or safety. But these handling problems pale in comparison to what happens before vegetables even reach the stores, starting with contamination issues that begin at the distribution level. At Safeway's massive distribution centers, your vegetables encounter problems before they ever reach store shelves. Federal inspectors have documented rodent activity in vegetable storage areas at facilities serving over 800 Safeway, Albertsons, and Vons locations across the western United States. When mice and rats have access to your produce during the critical storage phase, contamination spreads far beyond what you can see. The supplier oversight failures are equally concerning. In 2023, agricultural inspectors discovered that 3 major suppliers providing vegetables to Safeway stores were using chlorpyrifos, a pesticide banned for food crops due to neurological risks. These chemicals were found on bell peppers, broccoli, and leafy greens that made it all the way to store displays before the contamination was detected. Current and former employees paint a disturbing picture of corporate pressure that puts profits over safety. Workers from multiple locations have testified about being instructed to display vegetables with visible mold as rustic or farm fresh, rather than removing them from sale. One produce worker from a California Vons location said managers told staff that customers expected some imperfections and that removing moldy vegetables was wasteful. The consequences reached customers directly in early 2024 when Safeway recalled bagged spinach after more than 40 people across 5 states reported severe food poisoning. The contaminated spinach had passed through 3 separate quality checkpoints before reaching stores, yet still contained dangerous levels of E. coli. The problems aren't limited to high-end or traditional grocery chains, though. Even stores that build their reputation on rock-bottom prices are making compromises that put your family's health at risk. Aldi's rock-bottom prices come with hidden costs that shoppers discover too late. The German discount chain achieves those unbeatable vegetable prices by sourcing from overseas suppliers with minimal quality tracking systems and operating stores with skeleton crews that can't properly monitor produce conditions. When you're paying 60 cents for a bag of carrots, something has to give, and it's usually safety and freshness. Those ultra-cheap vegetables often travel from farms in countries with less stringent agricultural oversight than domestic producers. A leaked procurement document showed that Aldi sources bell peppers and cucumbers from suppliers in regions where pesticide regulations are significantly more relaxed than FDA standards. The long shipping times mean vegetables can be weeks old before they even enter the United States. Staffing cuts create dangerous gaps in quality control. Most Aldi stores operate with just 2 or 3 employees during peak hours, leaving produce sections unmonitored for extended periods. Former workers have reported vegetables sitting in temperature-unsafe conditions for entire shifts because no one had time to check the displays or rotate stock properly. Customer complaints tell the real story. Online reviews consistently mention vegetables that rot within 24 hours of purchase, suggesting they were already deteriorating when sold. One former employee from Michigan revealed that management instructed staff to sell vegetables with minor mold issues rather than taking losses on expired inventory. They were told to position moldy items so the damage faced away from customers. Even stores that charge premium membership fees and market themselves as quality destinations struggle with produce problems that might surprise their loyal customers. Costco's warehouse model creates unique problems for vegetable quality that membership fees can't solve. Those giant packages of vegetables that seem like great deals often contain more produce than a typical family can consume before spoilage sets in. When you're buying 3 pounds of spinach or 5 pounds of carrots, You're racing against time in a contest you're likely to lose. The warehouse environment itself works against vegetable freshness. Industrial lighting and inconsistent temperature zones accelerate deterioration, especially for delicate greens and herbs stored in clear plastic containers. Food scientists have noted that the bright fluorescent lighting used in Costco warehouses can reduce vegetable shelf life by up to 30% compared to properly controlled grocery environments. Those bulk packages hide serious quality issues that become apparent only after purchase. Customers regularly report finding moldy or rotted vegetables at the bottom of large containers, suggesting the produce was already compromised when packaged. A consumer investigation in 2023 found that nearly 60% of bulk vegetable packages contained at least some spoiled items mixed with fresh ones. Storage violations compound these problems. An internal inspection report from 2023 revealed vegetables stored in the same sections as cleaning chemicals and automotive supplies at multiple locations. Cross-contamination risks increase dramatically when produce shares space with non-food items, especially in environments where forklifts and heavy machinery operate regularly. The membership model creates a false sense of quality assurance, but bulk purchasing and warehouse conditions often work against the freshness that customers expect. Regional grocery chains face different challenges, particularly when local oversight and corporate accountability become stretched thin across smaller market areas. Publix has built a beloved reputation across the Southeast with friendly service and clean stores, but that southern charm masks serious problems with vegetable safety. The chain's emphasis on locally sourced, farm-fresh produce sounds appealing until you discover that many local suppliers bypass the rigorous safety testing required of larger agricultural operations. Small farms providing vegetables to Publix often lack the resources for proper contamination testing, creating gaps in food safety that affect thousands of customers. The humid southern climate creates additional challenges that Publix struggles to manage effectively. Temperature monitoring data from health inspections shows produce sections frequently operating above FDA-recommended storage temperatures, especially during summer months when cooling systems can't keep up with heat and humidity. These elevated temperatures turn vegetable displays into bacterial breeding grounds. The consequences have been severe and measurable. Since 2022, at least 4 separate E. coli outbreaks have been traced directly to vegetables sold at Publix locations across Florida, Georgia, and Alabama. Health officials linked contaminated lettuce, tomatoes, and cucumbers to more than 120 cases of food poisoning that required emergency medical treatment. Former employees describe intense pressure to maintain full displays regardless of vegetable quality. Workers report being instructed to keep obviously deteriorating produce on shelves rather than taking losses on inventory. One former produce manager from Jacksonville said corporate policies prioritize visual appeal over food safety, with specific instructions to hide quality problems rather than remove compromised vegetables. But companies that treat food as a secondary business face even more fundamental challenges when handling fresh produce becomes an afterthought to their primary retail operations. Target's foray into fresh groceries represents a dangerous experiment in learning food safety on your dime. As a retail company built around clothing, electronics, and household goods, Target lacks the deep produce expertise that grocery specialists develop over decades. When vegetables become just another SKU alongside shampoo and phone cases, critical food safety knowledge gets lost in the corporate structure. The staffing problems are particularly acute at SuperTarget locations, where overwhelmed team members rotate between departments with minimal training. An internal employee survey from 2024 revealed that 68% of workers handling produce had received no specific food safety training beyond basic hand washing. These same employees might stock vegetables in the morning and work electronics in the afternoon, with no understanding of temperature requirements, rotation protocols, or contamination risks. Health department violations tell a troubling story about Target's produce operations. Inspections in 2024 cited multiple locations for storing vegetables in areas accessible to customers without proper supervision, leading to contamination from shopping carts, children, and uncontrolled handling. One particularly concerning violation involved produce stored directly on floors in back storage areas shared with general merchandise. The understaffing creates dangerous gaps in monitoring. vegetables often sit unattended for entire shifts, with some displays going unchecked for days, according to employee reports. Former Target workers described finding obviously spoiled vegetables mixed with fresh items because no one had time to properly rotate stock or remove deteriorating produce. But inexperience and understaffing pale in comparison to what happens when a company deliberately deceives customers about the safety and freshness of the vegetables they're selling. Food Lion takes vegetable deception to shocking new levels with practices that cross the line from poor quality control into deliberate fraud. Undercover investigations by consumer watchdog groups have documented employees using diluted bleach solutions to remove visible mold from vegetables before putting them back on display. This isn't cleaning produce for safety, it's cosmetic fraud designed to hide deterioration and sell contaminated food to unsuspecting customers. The contamination problems start at Food Lion's distribution centers, where federal inspectors have documented extensive rodent and insect activity in vegetable storage areas. A 2023 inspection report detailed mouse droppings found throughout produce storage facilities serving over 200 stores across the Mid-Atlantic region. These same vegetables were shipped to stores and sold without additional safety testing or cleaning. These 9 chains collectively handle billions of dollars in vegetable sales each year, serving millions of families who trust that their food is safe. But choosing where you shop for vegetables could literally be the difference between nourishing your family and putting their health at serious risk.